Hi there. A year or so ago I made this cigar box base. There's a video of it being made and me talking about it and demonstrating it. But there were some issues with it. It's the first cigar box guitar I made. I've now made, this has been my fourth. And there were some issues with it. There were some build issues with it. I found it had quite a long neck, so when I'm playing it, it's quite unbalanced. The three strings on the long neck were causing the neck to bow quite a lot, which meant that I was really struggling to get a decent playing action. It has a MDF lid on this box, which I really should have used the back, which had the cedar box, and it would have been much better because it's really caved in here, if you can see. And also on this one I used a piezo pickup, which it works, you know, but it has quite a harsh sound. I don't have any tone control on it, and also it picks up all the kind of noise from the anything you touch on the box on here, it picks that up, not just the noise coming from the strings. So I wasn't really happy with that. I since went away and made a couple of other standard 3-string guitars, which there are also videos for, and then I decided I was going to really make myself a proper 4-string bass guitar that I could use on stage. So the purpose behind this one was I wanted to make something really nice. I know it's not, to a certain degree, in line with the whole kind of cigar box ideal of, you know, just getting some, I don't know, reusing some junk or whatever and knocking something up cheaply. I've decided to go to town on this one and make something as nice as I possibly can. So I've made a 4-string. I've made it with a fully sort of tapered neck, so the neck tapers that way and it also tapers that way to give it as nice a feel as possible. It's got a proper neck pickup on here, bass neck pickup, proper bass bridge which is fully adjustable, tone controls, you know, nice tuners. I've really gone to town on the thing. One key thing to notice is that basically you can see it's a different scale length. So I decided to go for a shorter scale to reduce the tension on the neck. So especially as I was going to go from 3 strings to 4 strings, I was worried that by adding even more strings I would be adding even more tension. So what I've done is I've reduced the neck length, which has made the strings much, you know, the tension on the strings is less and therefore the tension in the neck is less. So I'd get less bow on the neck. I considered putting a truss rod in, but I thought that was a little bit over the top. But what I have done is I have put carbon reinforcing rods into this neck. So they're actually built into the maple side of it, and then I've glued the fretboard on top. And they appear to have given a real good level of rigidity and a stiffness to the neck. So, you know, there's an element of relief in it, but to be honest, you kind of need that anyway. So it's worked out quite nicely. It's also a lot more balanced because it's shorter than this one here, because it's not, you know, the heads aren't out here, so it's not pulling quite as much here. And also because of the taper, there's a lot more weight at this end of the box. So it's a lot heavier than that one, but it's also much more balanced, which makes it nice to play. Everything about it is completely bespoke, so because I effectively have my own scale length here, there was nothing on the market that was anything like this. So the neck started off life as, you know, a lump of maple like that, and the fretboard as well was basically just a plank of fretboard material. So everything has been done, the scarf joints, the shaping, I've done the fretting, using the good old StewMac fret calculator. The whole thing has been made completely bespoke to scratch. What's it like to play? In terms of the sound, sounds really good. It sounds like a proper bass guitar. There's a link to my friend Marcel, who's a professional bass player. He's actually doing a proper demo of it, and there'll be a link somewhere on this, somewhere here. As well as right at the end of the video, there'll be a link to the demo of him playing it. Unfortunately, the video I took, the sound didn't come out very well, but you get the impression this actually plays really nicely. The only thing that's slightly different with to a normal guitar, a normal bass guitar, is because it's a shorter length, you've got less tension in the strings. So you have to be a little lighter with touch. The other strings tend to ring more because they're not under as much tension. So you've got to have a slightly different playing style. You know, there's very little kind of feel to a certain degree underneath them, but it also makes them nice and easy to play as well. And also, because it's a shorter length, you don't have as much stretch at this end of the fretboard. So to a certain degree, it makes it easier to play that way. The tuning is it's quite stable because the neck's stable, but the tuning is very fine. You know, it goes in and out of tune very quickly because of the fact that of the short length and the low string tension. So especially on the E string, you really got to be very, very subtle about your tuning. But actually, it holds it reasonably well, so I'm very happy with it. I think that's about it. So following this, there's a whole list of videos on pictures and videos of me making this. And then, as I say, at the end there's a link to the demo. So I hope you find it interesting. Any questions or comments, stick them in the bit below, and I'll be more than happy to receive any feedback. Okay, thanks. So I got to the stage where I have drilled the recesses in the neck here for the dot inlays. I was going to put just normal standard round abalone dot inlays into the neck. But despite using a pillar drill, they've not come out straight. I'll do a photo of it so you can see what I mean. They're basically wiggling around, only by about 1 millimetre, but believe you me, that's enough for me to make it look quite bad. So I'm not happy with that. So I'm going to basically try more complicated inlays to cover it up by using stars. So that's the 7, 3, 5, 7. The idea that that's going to sit on top of it and cover up all the bad holes, and I'll line them up properly that time. So there you go. I think the problem was that when I got too far ahead, I'd already shaped the back of the neck and everything, and I really think that you want to drill these holes in when the back is still a flat piece, so you can really bolt it down and you know it's all going to be straight. Whereas before, when I did it, I had it kind of flopping around a bit, and that's cost me a load of extra work. But anyway, I need to learn how to do inlays, so here we go. Okay, I've now finally managed to get all these star inlays sunk into my fretboard to cover up the previous cock up with the round holes. I've yet to fill it, which I'll show you how I'm going to do them just after this. But just a couple of points. Basically, it's a massive pain in the arse to try and do this stuff, especially if you haven't done it before. The star shape is really awkward to do. I end up having to buy a particularly fine chisel. This is a 3mm or eighth of an inch chisel, and you need to have it really sharp. New scalpel blades, and even then I've made a bit of a mess of it, which I'm now going to have to kind of cover up. So if you want to do inlays, I suggest you do the straight trapezoidal ones or something fairly simple first, and don't try doing the star-shaped ones or some kind of bizarre octagonal ones. Or well, actually, octagonal wouldn't be too bad, but it's probably the worst shape to try and do unless you really know what you're doing. But it does look quite good. They're all straight now. It's all lined up. So I'm hoping once I've filled in all the gaps here and sanded it all back, it's actually going to look really good. So it'll be worth all the while. But it took me about a week to do this, believe me. You know, I was getting pretty fed up with it by the end, and obviously you can see they get really small at the end, which makes it very difficult to do. In fact, I needed another size down to really do it properly. But there you go. You live and learn. Flood load of the old super glue in. Then get the powder, stick those on the top, rub it in, hope it fills up the holes. This might have to be done a couple of times, depending on, you know. What we'll do is we'll do this, let it set, sand it off, see if there's any holes, do it again until we get a nice good finish. So that's all done. I'm just going to make sure we clear out any of these that might have been filled. Scalpel blade seems to be exactly the right width for clearing these out, and then you give them a quick squirt with your activator and leave them for
half an hour, have a cup of tea, come back, sand it off, and probably have to do a bit more. Okay, it's all been sanded down. I've chipped away all the old stuff and sanded it down, and so it looks like we've got where the infills have been in, it's kind of got a dark patch. I don't know, that may dry out. It's been quite a while, it's been an hour or so since I superglued and sprayed on the thing, so it looks like that might stay, which is a bit of a shame because it kind of highlights areas that are wrong. However, obviously this is yet to be oiled, and so, you know, once that oil goes on, it might hurt it a bit, it might make it worse. However, there's not much I can do about it now, but there are still some big lumps here, so I'm going to have to go through the whole thing again, well, you know, there you go. It's the first time anyway. Okay, here we go again. Right, I've finally come to, I've finally finished all the inlay business, and I have made the sawdust out of the original wood, and glued it, well, you know, glued it into the areas around the inserts where there were holes, to fill it up. So with super glue, so it's a super glue, a sawdust mix. And obviously that's to fill the holes in, and also to effectively stabilise the wood, make sure the whole thing's one big lump, for kind of tone purposes. However, as you can see, the sawdust stroke super glue mix has not come out at the same tone as the wood. Now obviously I'm going to oil this, so it will become darker. But if you look, if I wet it, that's what it's going to come out like, so it's not that much difference. So there's a bit of a surprise. I was well hoping it would be a seamless blend, but very clearly it isn't. And I was considering actually staining the fretboard with a dark stain to effectively hide that and make them all the same colour. But then I've actually decided that, you know what, I think it looks quite interesting as it is. It's almost like it's highlight the dark, you know, area around here is almost highlighting the inlay in a way, like a bit like mascara around eyes. And so I think I'm going to leave it. There's a certain kind of you know, sometimes imperfections can be quite attractive, and I've decided I'm going to leave it like that rather than stain it. I think it looks quite good. A lot of nasty swarf cubs off there, so definitely wear glasses when cutting with a Dremel. Just get a file from this side, a straight file, and just file down the ends of the frets. Surprisingly, you may think it's going to take a long time, but as long as you cut them quite close with the Dremel when you're fretting it, then it actually doesn't take that long to get them flat. So that's them all flush now, flat that way, and now it's a case of putting on the 45-degree angle, so you just sort of hold the file like that, and you know, it works quite well. Doesn't take very long. Okay, got a bit of a problem, so I put it together and fit it as best I can. Basically, the action is too high. Where's my... If I get a straight edge along from the bridge position here to the nut, and I know it's going to get worse because obviously I'm going to go into the nut. Well, it's not going to get worse at that end, but there's really, you know, if you put a straight edge along here, there's quite a lot of relief. I don't know if you want to call it relief. Is it relief? Or the action's about 7 mil or something like that, which is really going to be high. So, and I really want to make this as playable as possible because I want to gig with it, and that's the whole point. I'm trying to make something that's really very much like a normal bass guitar. So I'm sitting here and I'm trying to work out, do I... At the moment it's flat, there's no neck angle in it at all, so do I raise it up, basically cut away the inside of the, and notch out, as it were, if that's the bit inside, notch out that much so the whole thing can come up, so you'll get a straight across, which should, you know, get the action down across the whole of the neck. Or do I actually put an angle on it, like that in here, so that it does that, and effectively you get a neck angle on it, which should, if that drops down, that should bring, you know, this should stay the same, but this end should come closer to the strings. So I'm not sure which way to go at the moment, so I'm going to do the only sensible thing, which is stop and go to the pub for a few beers and think about it there.
and come back tomorrow and work out what I'm going to do. Whatever it is, it's going to be sort of quite major surgery, and having invested significant hours and emotion into this thing, I don't really want to mess it up at this stage. So I'm going to have a good think about it over a few beers, and then come back and do something.
Wait a minute, I got something to tell you. It's all about love, babe. Lately, every day I get this lovely feeling. I got something to say. Don't let the storm clouds stand in your way. Rosie, Rosie, where have you been? Did you duck right round the corner? Was it somewhere in between? Tell me, who were those guys with whom you were seen? I got something to say. Well, it's better to burn than to fade away. Woman, could you spare me some of your sweet time? Oh, it's a matter of life, dear. Lately, every day I get this lovely feeling. I got something to say. Don't let the storm clouds stand